Morning, safe driver. Good morning, Fadi. Good morning, dude. And Anthony Oros. Good morning to you. I'm trying to organize. Hang on, let me see how this works. That didn't. This is a brand new. It's very. There we go. Shaking everything when I adjust that. Trying to get the new camera mounts to sit right. Oh, now that thing's right in the middle of the. Yeah, it's terrible. That doesn't work. Hang on. That's a very tight spring. I gotta change that. Oh, and I got News Talk jumping in.
And they got that
Hello.
multi-million-dollar marketing system kicked into action right away, and it took 2 weeks. 2 weeks for an amazing price. You don't have to understand the market. You just have to get Frank. That's what you need to do. Frank Leo and Associates at 416-917-5466, 416-917-LION, or go to getleo.com.
You're hearing Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010, and we're going to be joining him live on the air.
Okay, he should be off the air and out of your ears by now. This is Tony. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Just checking your sound. We're not feeding back to you in any way, shape, or form.
No, we're good. Sounds good.
Sounds good. All right. I'm going to mute myself here, and you can go on and do your thing until we're back in about 2.5 minutes.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So what you just heard was Control. That was News Talk 1010's Control Room, and we are getting ready to go live on the News Talk radio channel with Jerry Agar Show, the Jerry Agar Show. Oddly enough, it's hosted by a guy named Jerry Agar. I know it's shocking, isn't it? And I have my water. I was running around, and now I'm sitting down. So it was a little discombobulated, but we're good to go. If you want to call into the show, because you can do that, they have the technology. You can call in 416-872-1010 or text 71010 and be connected to Control, who then may very well connect you to Jerry and myself. We'll be on for an hour and a half, but only for a half an hour with them. So their callers, texters, and of course questions that you give us will be on the air for all to hear, and then it'll just go into our regular Q&A where it'll be private with whomever is in the room. Right now we've got 227 people watching on TikTok alone, not to mention the folks who are watching on other platforms like YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Twitter, of course, we cannot see your chat. We can't see your questions. But if you hop over to any one of the other ones, we will be able to see it. If you have a question and you want to put it in the Q&A, drop it into the that interaction box, that Q&A where you get to ask questions. We'll see it. We'll put it on screen. And Brian Costa has a question. Is it safe not to answer questions during a stop? There's some things you have to answer. Like, if we ask for, we make a demand for your license, ownership, and insurance. You got to do it. You have to comply with demands for breath samples and for tests. But where you're coming from, where you're going, that's conversation, and you don't have to answer it. But doesn't change anything. I think it's safe to not respond. We got Emma who's in. We have a whole bunch. Someone wants to know who I'm attracted to. I'm attracted to my wife, but that's who I'm attracted to. I always get some interesting questions, and that is on par with the most interesting. Let's see here. We have folks coming in by Instagram Live. Use the Q&A there. But like I said, we are going to be going live in just a few moments. So stand by, and I'll have another sip of water, because water is good. Oh, that was squeaky.
Coming up here.
Right on.
Yeah. Jerry Agar continues on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
One of my favorite parts of the multi-week proceedings, because it's every second week or so, is when we get to hook up with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop at Toronto Traffic Services. It's actually at Toronto Services on... I'm screwing this up, aren't I, Sean?
You were so close. It's at Traffic Services, and that's our account on TikTok. It's our Twitter handle. It's you can get us there. You can even get us at linktree.com. No, it's link.tr. I can't even remember. It's Linktree Traffic Services. Now it's my turn to mess up.
What a couple of professionals doing the radio and TikTok show here. All right. Well, let's talk traffic. That's the whole idea, is that we're hooked up both on the TikTok show and my radio show with Sean Shapiro, Constable Sean Shapiro. Is it legal to drive at night with your interior lights on?
Amazingly, although I was raised in a household that told me it was illegal because the police were going to pull us over, it is actually not illegal to have your interior lights on while driving. It's not a good idea. It does mess with your night vision, your ability to see out of the car. So we don't suggest you do it, but it's not illegal.
Do you think that your dad or your mom told you that because they just didn't want you to put the light on?
I think that in some states, in some places, it may actually not be illegal. And, we're so heavily influenced by American television and movies that it just became something we misunderstood. Just like driving with no shoes. People think that it's illegal to drive barefoot, and it's not. Again, not suggested, because when you hammer down on that brake pedal in an emergency, you might hurt your toes, but it's not illegal.
See, I thought it was because, quite understandably, you could have a little pebble on a boot, and you embedded that that little pebble in the pedal, and then there you are in your barefoot, and you hit that pebble, and the natural inclination of your system is to pull back.
Well, that's certainly one potential, but I don't think it was ever written into law anywhere quite that way. At the end of the day, a shoe is a good thing to have. Now, listen, large boots, winter boots, we don't suggest driving with bulky boots that may interfere with your ability to properly press on an individual pedal, because very often we see collisions where someone goes to press the brakes and they hit the gas at the same time. Sometimes it's pedal confusion, sometimes it's bulky winter clothing. So we actually suggest driving shoes is a good way to go. And many people do that when they don't want to wear high heels because it's hard to drive in those. I've never had that experience, but you're switching into sneakers to drive and then switching into the less comfortable, better looking shoes when you're not.
All right. Sean Shapiro is with us on TikTok. It's at Traffic Services. If you want to call in, it's 416-872-1010. Toll free, 877-518-5151. You can text us at 71010. Here's Roy from Scarborough. What's your question, Roy?
Oh, hi, Jerry and Sean. Yes. Those paid duty officers on construction sites, I was wondering, can they pull you over if they see you doing an illegal turn or something like that? Are they still on duty as a police officer?
So we are police officers 24/7. We always have that capacity and responsibility, and we can, although we are, when working paid duties, we're actually paid and working directly for a customer, a construction site. We're responsible for their things first. But I have very often pulled people over for almost killing me at a construction site. So yeah, we can pull them over, but we can't then take over the duties of traffic enforcement in that area when we're actually supposed to be directing traffic for a construction site. So that's a balance.
It's also only, of course, if you can stop the driver, right? Because you're not in a vehicle. You're not going to do a foot chase with a car, correct?
It is difficult to stop a fleeing vehicle on foot. But we do have this magical thing called a radio. Nothing is faster, and we do phone friends when we need help.
The officer is going to phone a friend you'll grab the license plate number. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we can lay a charge later.
Yeah, there's an additional problem then, isn't there, for what would it be called?
Well, fail to stop for police. So many things. Flee from police. It depends on where they're going with it. But the truth is, if you're being stopped by a police officer, it is in your best interest to actually stop because you escalate something that could have been minor, could have been a, hey, what are you doing? And a quick correction verbally to something that could even lead to criminal charges.
Well, Sean, that just leads very neatly into a question from Tom in Milton, who wrote in to ask, when a police officer is trying to pull me over, do I have to pull over immediately or pull over at the first safest spot?
It is immediate. It is safely, but immediately. So it's not looking for parking. If you see lights and sirens, or you hear sirens to go with those lights, it's your obligation under the HTA to pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway. Now, when we pull you over, we're factoring in safety. So we have lights, we have a vehicle. We're going to put ourselves in a blocking position to keep you safe. And ideally, we'll look for a place to go that is safest. But you need to leave that part up to us.
Here is Tina from Mississauga. Go ahead, Tina.
Good morning. I've been driving for a long time professionally, and lately I've noticed a lot of drivers stopped at a red light in the left-hand turn lane, proceeding into the intersection to make a U-turn.
I'm sorry, on a red light?
On a red light, proceed into the intersection to make a U-turn.
Well, that is not legal. On a red light, you cannot enter the intersection. And we have heard many people asking about this, so it must be a fad, but it's not a legal one.
Yeah.
On a
it's
green light,
a lot in the 905.
And that may be where people are coming from other countries with different habits, or people who listen. I'll tell you something else that I'm seeing very often. It's people who are not stopping while making rights on red. They're just driving through, and I see 4 or 5 cars go through at one time, making a right on red without coming to a complete stop first, which is, of course, something you legally have to do. So there's a lot of confusion. Maybe people need some tickets.
Okay, so just to be very clear, if it's a red light means stop, then you look around and say, look safe to me, and make a right-hand turn.
Right, and this only became an issue recently where people are asking, I got a ticket for from a red light camera for making a right turn. I'm like, did you stop first? They said, no. I said, that's why. Yes, you are obligated to come to a complete stop at a red light, regardless of what direction you want to go in afterwards. You have to then make sure that it's safe to proceed, and only then can you initiate your turn. And it's the same for police. Police, even with lights and sirens on, have to come to a complete stop before proceeding through a red light.
Now, this is an interesting question from Dora, Sean. The man who hit my car failed to remain at the scene. The cam footage I have of the license plate is blurry. Can police enhance that and clean the image?
Sadly, we don't have that fancy movie time stuff to do much with video. We can enhance some things, but very often dash cams don't have the ability to capture the information, and blurry is exactly what you've got, and we can't make better of it. It's always worth to submit it because we can actually, at times, find other video to substantiate, but that video can't necessarily or generally not be improved.
One of the phone companies is advertising right now that if you have a blurry picture, some system in the phone will actually fix that and unblur the image. I don't know which company it is because I buy a phone for a phone, not a toy. But but apparently that technology is getting better and better.
And that's a lot of that goes into how much light they have, what the raw information is. Nighttime is more often than not when we don't have good image. And when you talk about a 1080p or a 4K camera, we're talking about a very small percentage of that sensor being able to capture, and there's just not enough information to fix. But when you see sharpening in a photo, like when you take a picture of mom at graduation or something, they can do minor changes to make it a little bit better. But if her face was completely obscured, there's no bringing it back.
Here is Al from Scarborough. What's your question, Al?
Yeah, hi. Just to follow up with that person about pulling over safely, I've noticed that a lot of times police will pull over somebody during rush hour on a main street when not that far away is a side street and they could go there and not hamper traffic. I don't know why they do that, where they stay on the main street.
Well, we stop someone when we see them. We don't know where they're going to go next. We're behind them, and getting them to turn off onto a side street requires communication, which usually requires us to walk up to the driver's side. And at that point, we've effected the stop. We're not going to move you again, unless it was really dangerous. We appreciate that it does often slow down traffic temporarily, but we have to stop them in the most efficient way possible, and that's where they are.
Theoretically, I'm being pulled over, and I'm on a main road, and a lot of traffic is going to be hampered, as the caller is suggesting. If you pull me over and I see we're coming to an intersection, I stick my hand out the window and indicate to you that I know you're there and I'm just going to take the corner. Will that work?
Well, I mean, it's better than just taking off. It's certainly not. If it's something reasonable and obvious, it's not going to cause a problem. It might cause a problem for you afterwards when you're trying to get back onto the road. And your best practice is to simply come to a stop. Certainly offering to pull off the road or into a parking lot may be something we figure out once we've had a basic communication. I don't suggest taking side routes. A smaller side road may actually be more dangerous because there's no room for vehicles trying to get past you to get around. Now they've got to go into oncoming traffic to get around. So ideally, do what the law says, pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway, and then if you're concerned about safety and location, bring that up with the officer when they come to the window.
All right, we will continue here in moments. Sean continues on TikTok at Traffic Services. This is the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Awesome.
9:45 News Talk 1010 Time Saver Traffic.
And if you guys can mute on your end so we don't get Jerry while you're on commercial break, I think you've already done that. That's amazing. Then I don't have to mute and we don't miss any timing when we come back. Just a shout out to Kayla Draconis, who is saying hello, but only staying for the radio show portion. And Chase says, no show tomorrow. No show tomorrow. Thank you for bringing it up. I am going to be at the dentist. It's very exciting. I love the dentist. I kind of love my dentist. He's a very good friend. It's a platonic love, but it's love. And then Ryan Pinn, good morning to you. He's our driving instructor from Nova Scotia, who brings so much good stuff. We also have the Safe Driver, who's on TikTok, and he is a driving instructor. He's a driving instructor's instructor. instructor who actually trained Ryan Pinn or was involved in the training. I don't know how, were you in a car together or was it just online? I don't know, but there's a relationship there. There is a connection. Big Jeff Fresh, 100% working in steel toes all day. Love switching to something else to drive home, especially after 10 plus hours a day of work. That's a good point. Steel toes. A friend of mine is a chiropodist who says, do not wear steel toes unless you absolutely have to. So if it's a safety thing, but as soon as you can change out of them, apparently it's bad for your feet. See, now we're the chiropodist show. Maybe we should have her on as a guest. We have, what do we have? I have to send an email. Did I do it already? Let me a second. 1 second here. Important stuff. Good. Okay. I think we're good. I think I sent it to the appropriate people. There's just stuff and things that are going on. Yes, we did. All right, good. What do we have here? We've got so much to talk about. And, of course, we are on for 1.5 hours. Well, now we've eaten into it by a quarter of that, or a quarter of an hour. We're on for another hour and 15 minutes answering your questions. If you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I am a police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff Monday to Friday, except tomorrow that I'm not here. See, 'cause things happen. It's the real world. I got to go to the dentist like everybody else. And we're here otherwise for you. It's a question and answer thing. You ask us questions, we give you answers. We know lots of stuff. We don't know everything, and what we don't know, we tell you we don't know. But we have lots of great people that we have as resources, so I can ask people about stuff that I don't know. You know, occasionally I need to phone a friend. Now, how can you talk to us? Use the Q&A functionality on the platform you're on. If it's anything but Twitter, you can actually reach us. If you're on Twitter, I'm sorry to say you need to click and move over to another platform because Twitter is broken. It's been broken it's not an Elon Musk thing. I keep saying it. What can I tell you? I can tell you that we have things to talk about soon, one of which is the magic of Vision Zero enforcement team. We'll tell you where they are at 10 o'clock. That's what we'll change over from radio Q&A to telling you about the VZET team and where they're enforcing the law today. We're going to talk about stuff and things like, what happens if you get into a collision? Because winter driving tends to mean more collisions. At least we talk about it more often. We're going to talk about impaired driving. Do you know that we do something called RIDE? Do you know the origins of RIDE? I think it's cool. We'll talk about that too. What else? We got Ryan Pinn who says it was online training, but have from time to time texted and emailed. Oh, this is talking about the inner workings of his knowledge and connection to Scott Marshall. He's a magical man from Happy Land. I always say that about him. Does anyone know what that reference is? The magical man from Happy Land? If you do, make sure. Hey, where are you guys watching from? Let me know in the comments where you're from, where you are. I'm always interested to know. It makes it interesting. And if you can share this live with anyone you think might benefit from it, we'd appreciate it. If you can tap that screen, if you're on TikTok or on the Instagramming thing, apparently that tells people that this is worth watching. So it brings more people to the party. Also, if you miss anything, if you find something that's really interesting, but you say, what did he say? You can get this episode on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, which is Traffic Services Toronto Police, after the show. It is live there now, and you can always review it afterwards. In fact, we have hundreds of episodes because every day is logged there for later. Hey, want to become a member of the Toronto Police Service? We are hiring www.tps.ca/careers. Everything you'd ever want to know about how to become a member of our service. Great place to work. You should join. No, seriously, we great pay, great people, great benefits. What else could you need? We don't have Ferraris. I can see some people like wanting Ferraris. Okay, what do we have here? Right. Cool. Checked up on an email. I think we're good to go. I don't know how far out we are, but momentarily we will be joined by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. You can get the show, Get to Control, by calling 416-872-1010. You can also text to 71010. Let them know stuff you want to talk about, but we're also going to grab questions out of the Q&A. We got 25 questions that have come in, and we are going to talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. And good morning from Wasaga Beach. I asked this, is it Wasaga or Sega? I want to know.
That's simple.
Here we go.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Control room mic is hot. Okay.
Listen anytime, anywhere to News Talk
TPS,
1010
TPS
Toronto
website.
through your Apple CarPlay
TPS,
or
not CPS.
Android
Did I
Auto.
say CPS?
Jerry
TPS.
Agar
Toronto Police
continues.
And it's another segment with Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop. He's on TikTok at Traffic Services every day answering traffic questions. So every couple of weeks, we dip in for a bit and get some questions answered. Sean, I have a special guest asker right now. He used to be the technical operator on my show. He's now working on the morning show, and Tony is with me. But Nick Mariano has a question.
Hey, Sean. Nice to talk to you.
Nick, long time no talk.
I have a useful question, I think. So, if let's say I'm driving and my wife is following me, we're going somewhere and she bumps into me, do I have to report that to the collision center?
This is an odd question, my friend. The deal is that if you have more than $2,000 damage between both vehicles, then yes, you're obligated by law to report it. You can do that at a collision reporting center. Police aren't required to attend that scene unless other curriculum or criteria are met, like someone being transported to hospital by ambulance or criminality of some kind. If it was minor, you just made contact, there's no damage, it's not reportable. You don't need to report it anywhere.
Is this a theoretical question, Nick?
No, this is hypothetical, 100%. Because it happened last week where we were following each other. We didn't collide, but I was thinking about it. I have to ask Sean this question. So if that happens and it's less than $2,000, I'm sleeping in the guest room.
Who hits who? I guess it depends if you're.
Well, notice he put his wife in the position of being the one who would be in the wrong.
I noticed that. Yes.
Thanks, Sean. Always appreciate your support.
Pleasure.
Here is Bruce from Burlington. What's your question, Bruce?
Oh, thanks for taking the call, Jerry. Yeah, my question is, if you have an accident in an intersection that has a red light camera, would that camera record the accident?
Great question. We don't call them accidents. We call them collisions because somebody's responsible for it. It wasn't just an oopsie-doo. In terms of those cameras, those are very specifically calibrated to catch people as they go. They're still cameras. They're not video cameras, so it wouldn't be captured.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, so it's working kind of in the way that a motion detector works.
Exactly. It's set up to figure out exactly where you are at that time, and if you go past the line after it's red, those seconds count. It'll capture you, and it takes a series of still photos.
Okay. Here is Clyde from North York. Go ahead, Clyde.
Good morning. Is it legal for a construction worker on a roadside to wave you through a red light?
It is not, although many people try and do that. They have very specific duties. They can tell you to stop, they can tell you to go, but they cannot supersede that instruction of a signal, a traffic signal. So if you don't go, they get really frustrated. They can't wave you through a stop sign either. They get really frustrated. But not legal for them to do that.
Clyde, thank you. We've never had that question before. That's a good question because I'm sure it does cause frustration and maybe it causes people to be yelling at one another. But good to know. If I ever see a situation like that, I'm going to tell the guy, I am not going to break the law because you want me to.
Well, that's it. And it may be a harmless thing to some. They consider it harmless. But it's technically breaking the law. And I've had long conversations with people, and they're like, well, what do you know? Like, I happen to be a police officer. They still argue.
Yeah, there you go. Here is Trevor from Malton. Go ahead.
Hi, guys. We got new bike lanes in our area now, and I just want to know if it's okay to do a drop-off blocking the bike lane.
You want to pull into the bike lane to drop someone off and then leave?
Right.
Is that legal?
Is that legal?
No. My understanding is only if it's for an accessible permit pickup and drop off or taxi, I think they can have the ability to block. I don't think you can do it with a regular vehicle. And I say think because I recently had this conversation with Erin, who is our parking aficionado? I don't know. She's the guru. And she let me know that you could do it for certain conditions. I wasn't even aware of that. So maybe we should have a follow-up and bring Erin back to the air and talk more about it.
Yes. I would love to have her back anyway.
Let's do it.
So, yeah, because it was fun when you had her on. Took a little bit of a curve from what you and I do, but I thought a really useful one because, hey, if we drive, we park. So it's good to know what those rules and regulations are. So let's set that up. Here is John from Niagara. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean, thanks for taking my call. My 17-year-old daughter ditched our car just ever so slightly into a ditch, and there was some damage to the bumper. When I showed up on the scene, the cop said that we had to get it towed, even though my daughter drove the car out of the ditch. And then she was pushing me towards going through insurance. And in the end, the tow that was just 5 minutes down the road to a reporting center cost me $600. I don't feel like I was served well by my local police, Niagara Regional Police.
Well,
what do you think?
That is something you can certainly take up with them. I can tell you that as a police officer, if I believe that vehicle is unsafe to drive, I'm going to tell you can't do it, and then you can't do it. You have to opt to tow. And there's things like latent, what do we call it, triggering of airbags, where there's a collision, the front end bumper is damaged, and then someone drives away, and the airbag deploys later. Very dangerous. So there's good reason to tell you not to drive. Now, in Toronto, I can't speak for all regions, obviously, but in Toronto, the drop fee at a reporting center is paid for by the reporting center. It's nothing out of your pocket. So if you were in Toronto, that wouldn't have cost you a penny. Obviously, you're outside of that area, and they have different rules and costs involved. But it is a good thing. It's for your safety. That's why they're telling you to do it that way.
All right, thanks for your call, John. It's a kind of subjective call, I guess, on the part of the police officer, but the airbag might go off later. I had not heard that before.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why they suggest for emergency responders never to duck into if there's a collision, we don't stick our bodies in between you and the steering wheel, because they can deploy, and we've had people injured because of that.
Here is Patricia from Etobicoke.
Hi, good morning. I wondered if you're driving in a single lane and there's a bike lane on the curbside and an emergency vehicle is trying to get by, can you then pull into the bike lane to let the vehicle go by?
Everything changes when it's emergency vehicles. You're required to pull over to the nearest edge of road or curb, and that would include the bike lane. And guess what? Cyclists need to pull over when an emergency vehicle is coming too. So that's when everyone's moving over. So absolutely, you'd be okay to do that.
Thanks for that question, Patricia. Somebody asks, why are dark tinted windows rarely enforced?
Well, we've got higher priorities, frankly. We look for the people who are speeding, aggressively driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving, because those are the ones that lead to serious injury and death more often. Now, we also enforce the tinted windows, but again, it's prioritizing our efforts and our time. If something is so dark that I can't see in, that's a problem, because it means you can't see it well either, and that's also a safety concern. So we do it. It's just not the highest on our priority list.
Have you ever had a situation, Sean, where you think, I'm going to pull that guy over? I don't know if it's a guy or a girl because it's dark windows. I'm going to pull that person over. And then all of a sudden you see a car whiz by at double the speed limit and you go, oh my, and you're gone. The window person gets away with it.
100%. We're constantly evaluating what's going on. If I haven't stopped that person, even if I have stopped that person, if something that is so obviously more serious, then someone might get hey, lucky day, here's your stuff, I'm gone. It happens. It does happen.
All right. So there's your question. Why are dark tinted windows rarely enforced? You're correct. That's not the number one thing, but they do get enforced from time to time.
Absolutely.
Good to talk to you. And as always, so you'll be carrying on TikTok?
We're going right to 11 o'clock. Traffic Services. You can also watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere.
Except here.
Except there.
Because we're done now. But it's always good to have you, Sean. Thanks very much.
Talk to you again soon.
Yeah, Sean Shapiro of Traffic Services. Now,
that was, as always, a lot of fun. Now I can change my graphic because I had his face looking at me. It's like he's in the room with me. You'd only know that if it was YouTube. But now we're back to regular. It feels like I feel so lonely now. You know, Chris isn't in the studio. The sergeants aren't hanging out. It's just us. It's just you and me. Yeah. Jacob, Chase got the reference. So Magical Man from Happy Land is, in fact, The Simpsons. Chase is the knower of many things, and he knew that. So he's in Waterloo region, and he is, throwing in his 2 cents about The Simpsons. 100%. The Simpsons, are you Simpsons fans? Did you grow up watching Simpsons? You watch it now. I have Disney Channel. Apparently, you can watch everything. I've not watched any Simpsons on Disney, but apparently the entire library is there. So that's something that when my kids are old enough, we'll start watching it. I'm not sure if they're ready for that. But I do want to watch it with them. Jacob says, good morning. And he's got a test at 10. Well, it's 10. Okay. I had a student driving when a traffic control person tried to wave us through a red light, ended up educating the traffic person that we can't go through on a red light. Good man. Ryan's just spreading knowledge everywhere. And, oh, look at that. Akela's meeting was canceled. He's sticking around for the whole episode. Akela is involved with the city of Toronto, knows lots of stuff and things, and gives us some great tidbits of information when we have questions that enter his realm. Let's see what's going on here. Regulations for passengers on motorcycles. Well, there's no age requirement. There is, however, a requirement that they touch the foot pedals, the pegs for passengers. And of course, they have to wear helmets and all that stuff. And a personal suggestion and requirement in my world is that they have to be responsible enough to be a passenger. If you have someone that's going to freak out and end up, leaving the bike, like jumping off of it, falling off of it, can't hold on, you got to be confident that that's a passenger that's going to be safe. Good morning, Brody, a RCMP from Labrador. Hey, that's awesome. I'll have to add you here, follow you back. Oh, I see your red surge in your profile pic. Awesome. We'll have to chat. I always love hearing from police officers from around the world and around, of course, Canada. We had a friend from Washington State, from a small police service there. He came by to check out what we do here in studio. He's probably on an airplane right now flying home, but it was good to have him here. And we're always talking about other members of the police, of other police services, because we want more people, more police people, to be here doing what we do in their area, in their jurisdictions, because laws are different everywhere. I learned so much about Washington State. I don't think I've ever been to Washington State. No, I don't think I've ever been there. But their laws are significantly different, and every state and every province has different laws. And when you talk about the differences between Canada and the United States, about how they do things, like, give you an example. Murder in Canada, it's a federal crime. It is covered by the Criminal Code of Canada, which is the same anywhere in the country. But you know what? Murder is different state to state. It changes. So that's just wild. They handle and the sentences and so different and so cool. Learning about other people in other places is something I like. So there you go. What we got here. Can you take bike lane if car in front left turn? No. You cannot use the bike lane to pass vehicles. The bike lane is a protected lane. The whole purpose is so you don't go in it. So it's a great question, but it's not something you could get a ticket for entering that bike lane. Especially if there was a cyclist there, that'd be bad. The whole reason is to protect cyclists. I can't speak English today. Vulnerable road users. That's what it's about. Okay. Kayla's blushing. I like that. Scared to drive at night with ice. How to help? Good tires. Good tires make you feel a lot more confident. It may not be 100% perfect, because tires will not. Sliding is sliding, and four-wheel drive gets you going faster, but doesn't stop you faster necessarily. But tires do make a big difference. And if you've never had snow tires, you're up for amazingness when you do go there. And let's see this. I can't move my computer. I was moving some equipment around. Now things are flopping over. That's not good. Hang on a second. I got to move this out of the way because I want to use. Stand by. That worked. I need to get my Mac in view. Because I've got Volley, which I just noticed on my phone. A message popped up, so I want to have it on screen. And I see that Chase put up a question or a statement or both. We'll come back to that. So so one of it is confidence. Reducing your speed obviously is a thing. If it's so icy and it's so dangerous, don't go on the road. You don't have to get somewhere that bad. But fear is separate from actual concerns about ice. Ice is ice. Slower is better, and good tires will help, but will not, be the 100% solution. And getting experience is another good thing. So, but beyond that, I don't know what else to suggest. Let's go to. Oh, Michael also got on Volley that it was Simpsons. Okay, let's see what we got here. Here's a voice message from Chase. Let me turn up my volume so y'all can hear.
Does mandatory alcohol screening cover just breathalyzer tests, or can you be required to step out and do field sobriety tests or swabs at the roadside, or can they demand you to go to a station right then and there to get tested?
Okay, so this is interesting. The concept of mandatory alcohol screening is dealing with a roadside screening device. This means that at that time, I can make a demand for you to provide a breath sample into our screening device in order to test right then and there. Now, could I make a demand for a what's it called, a mandatory sobriety? Field sobriety test. Words, I get them all in the right order. Everything has their own criteria, and I believe that the mandatory alcohol screening would cover that too. I got to double check on that, because in the context that I've always spoken about, mass is always about that device. In terms of blood samples, in terms of sending someone to a breathalyzer, those are different grounds. Those are different things. That's when we're talking about we're arresting you for impaired operation. That's because we've got the RPG, reasonable probable grounds, to arrest you. It's not the screening. Screening is a lower level. That's where you pass, you go. You don't pass, you stay. And it's a good question though. I like it. I like it a lot. Did I cover it? Swabs? Okay, swabs are for marijuana. Those could be, also made, but that's usually based on suspicion. It's not just mandatorily. We're checking everybody. That's going to be, I think, it's going to be more than just mandatory, I think. But now that I've said it, I got to do research and confirm. At very least, let's talk about mandatory alcohol screening. If you're pulled over in Canada, you could be provided a demand or read a demand to provide a breath sample into a proof screening device to find out if you have any alcohol in your blood. It doesn't matter if you smell like alcohol, admit to having alcohol. If you're on a stop, you can be, if you're driving a vehicle and you're stopped for a legal purpose, which, by the way, in Canada can be just to check to see if you have alcohol in your system, you have to provide it. If you don't, you're charged with a criminal offense for failed to provide sample. It's pretty wild. Now, in Washington State, they have different rules. Screening devices aren't mandatory, so they're optional. But they can arrest you and take you to a station, and that's different. So fascinating. What happens if you fail a sobriety test? Failing to provide a sobriety test is the same as if you failed it. So bad things happen. You get charged. You are obligated to. Do I have to pass a new speed? What is this? Do I have to pass a new speed sign to go that speed? Yes, when it says begins, that is where you're allowed to begin going the new speed. If you're approaching it, you accelerate, you could be charged. Now, I am not necessarily going to charge you if you're accelerating 5 feet before the sign, but that technically would be speeding because the speed has not changed yet. Can you get a seatbelt ticket in a parking lot? No, you cannot. That area of the Highway Traffic Act is not applicable on private property. It's a good idea to wear your seatbelt on private property or anytime you're in a motor vehicle, even if you're parked. And I mean that on a highway. But when I've conducted stops on the highway and I've gone back to my car, a very wise sergeant suggested, and I've always done it since, putting the seatbelt back on because very often vehicles on a highway get hit. Just saying. There are some exemptions to seatbelt use. We can talk about that later. Taz says, morning, Sean. We are entering into the holiday season, or in it for that matter. Maybe you can address some of the laws involving with impaired operation mass versus the previous suspicion. Yeah, we kind of were talking about that. Taz is, I'm guessing, an ossifer. Just saying. So it's a great topic. And here's the deal. And we just talked about it, but I'll talk about it again. If you go to a ride program, prior to 2018, we had to smell alcohol or you had to admit to consumption. And now we could simply make a plan that everybody we stop is going to be conducting a test. And that's been like that in Australia for years. Ride program, every single person who goes through it has to provide a breath sample to continue. It's a great way to go. It's a great way because we catch people who don't present the same what's it called, indicators. You have people who are professional alcoholics. They don't sound drunk, or they don't sound like that you would expect when they're over the limit. In fact, it's a great training video that I've watched many, many times over the years, and it has a man who comes in, and he's a fall-down drunk, and he blows just over the limit. And then we have someone who walks in, and you think that this person was straight as an arrow in terms of being sober, and they blow like 3 times the limit. Wild. Everyone reacts to alcohol differently. So you can be called upon to provide a buccal swab for marijuana use or THC content. So if you have, even if you're not impaired, you could be required to provide a sample to find out if you have anything. And if you're a learner's driver, 0 is what you're allowed to have for drugs or alcohol. So you could be finding yourself, even if not criminally responsible at that point, you could be suspended because you're in contravention of your license. What is this? Do I need to provide info at a road stop? What info? What kind of road stop? If you are stopped while driving a motor vehicle, you're obligated to provide your license, ownership, and insurance upon demand of a police officer, that sort of stuff. What other kind of information? If I ask you if you've been drinking and you say, I'm not answering that question, probably means you're drinking. But are you obligated to answer? No. But when we make a demand, you're obligated to comply with it. If we ask you to confirm questions like, where do you live? These are ways for us to confirm your identity. If we are suspicious that information is incorrect or we cannot confirm, you can be arrested and held until we can confirm your identity. That could be by way of fingerprints or other means. So it doesn't make sense to not provide any information and be uncooperative because that just makes things take longer. Yeah. All right. What do we got? We got a couple things here. Steve wants to know, what's the regulation for crosswalks with the large white bars when making a left or right? Are you able to enter the crosswalk if pedestrian is not in front of you but is still in the crosswalk? Okay, lines on the road are irrelevant. If we're talking about a crosswalk that is in relation to a signalized intersection, then we're talking about you have to wait. You have to yield to the pedestrian who's legally and lawfully there. So if they are on your side of the road approaching you, or they've just passed you but they're still on your side of the road, wait. When they're across your half of the road, you can go. Now, if you're talking about a pedestrian crossover, they must be entirely off the road. Oh, wait, I forgot one point. If a crossing guard is in the intersection, they got their stop sign, they're a crossing guard, you must wait in a signalized intersection until all parties are completely off the roadway before you enter the intersection or enter the crosswalk. When you're talking about signalized, the pedestrian crossovers, they are not related to a regular intersection, and they have the flashing lights, how do they, I guess they're marked differently in different areas, but pedestrian crossovers, they require you to be completely off the road, regardless of there being a crossing guard present. Plan for your ride to take longer because you need to reduce your speed. Are we talking about that? Maybe that was what you're talking about, ice. That's good advice for ice. Go slow. How can we call in to ask our question? Jenny, is it Jenny or Jean? I don't know how to read your name. John? I don't know. When we were on the radio, you were able to call in. You can't call in now, but you can ask the question just like you asked us the question here. You can Are quick release steering wheels legal in Ontario? No. They're not. They're not intended for road use. And additionally, they would require you to take your airbag out, which is in itself against the law. What do we have here? If you pull over and park safe, can you use your phone? Park safely and legally. So if you pull over to a place that you can get out and walk and leave your car behind and it wouldn't be towed because it's not a no stopping, isn't a no parking, then yes, you could pull over and park there because it's a legal parking spot. But pulling over to the side of the road in a no stopping zone, you could still be charged. You're still impeding traffic. You're still a problem. You can't be parked at a red light because you're not parked there. You're in a lane of traffic. There's a bunch of other things. Essentially, if you can park it and leave your car there, that's probably a good indication that you could use your phone. GPS on phone, on dash, at RPM's ticket. I don't know what you mean. I think I know what you mean, and I'm going to go based on what I think you might mean. GPS mode is an exemption to having a screen visible to driver. So you can't be watching The Simpsons when you're driving, but you can be watching or referencing your GPS on your phone, on your dash, whether it be mounted or however. It can't be loose, obviously, because then that could be a hazard. But if you're not touching it or interacting with the phone, you're just looking at the GPS mode, that's okay. But you can't program it, you can't touch it, you can't interact with it. So when you're legally parked, set your destination, put it in its mount, and you're good to go. Is insurance based on the car or the driver? Both. Now, insurance is private in Ontario, so they determine risk and calculate your rates based on whatever they do to calculate their rates. But I can tell you that type of vehicles that are categorized as high risk, like sports cars, will increase your rates. Additionally, your age, your sex, everything as a driver, as well as your record, will increase your odds. And you say, well, one second, how can they do that based on sex or race or anything? They look at everything. And if they say that more young men, aged 18 and 19 in red cars on Tuesdays, cause more collisions or speed more, they go through the numbers, and the numbers are the numbers. That's just what it is. They don't care. They don't care about feelings. So yeah, they will categorize people down to where they live, what street you're on. People who live on this street have higher rates than the people who live on the street over. Why? Because there were more collisions there. Now, I am by no means a representative of any collision company, but I have a friend who's an actuary, and he once gave me a speech about how they calculated it, and I'm giving you the best rendition of what I understand it to be. If it's wrong or different, take it up with the insurance companies. Or specifically my friend. Yeah, Joey. Okay. Are winter tires not required in Ontario? You are correct. They are not required in Ontario. They are required in Quebec, but not here. And there's been a lot of discussion as to whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know why it's not required here. It's certainly something that I think is a good idea. I don't make the rules. I enforce rules that are there. I do not make rules. Here's a good question after I have my sip of water, because I need water. And before I answer the question that's on the screen for the people who are on TikTok, I should also mention that my name is Sean Shapiro. Some of you may not know that. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service. I go on to TikTok and other social media platforms to answer your traffic and police questions. I do it Monday to Friday. I'm not going to be here tomorrow, but normally I would. The show's called Ask a Traffic Cop because I'm a traffic cop, and I know some stuff. I share it with you because we want to make people, more knowledgeable, safer, and have fewer tickets. Okay. Speaking of tickets, do camera tickets count towards penalty points? The answer is no, not here. In Ontario, municipal government runs the program for the enforcement cameras, and they do not. It's a different section of the HTA. They do not attribute points to a driver. They are responsible of the responsibility of the owner to pay. So regardless of who's driving, the owner gets a ticket, and that's because it couldn't. There's no proof that that person was the person driving. There's no points attributed to it. Now in Australia, you get points. So be thankful you don't live in Australia. Sorry for anyone who does live in Australia. I love Australia. I got friends in Australia. I got family in Australia. But hey, you get tickets there and you get points there from a camera. What do you think? Do you think that's a good idea or a bad idea? Inquiring minds want to know. We already talked about seatbelts in a parking lot. That was a no. Can you pass on the shoulder? No. Except sometimes. You can't do it when you're driving. But if you're on a 2-lane road and someone has slowed to stop, has slowed to make a left turn, or is in the progress of making a right turn, and there is a paved shoulder, then yes, you can. If you're at speed, you cannot. There was a video that circulated. I think we did the response to video to that, or at least I had planned to. I thought about doing it. Whether I actually did it or not, I don't know. They cannot. Well, we talked about it on the Jerry Agar Show. That's what happened. So you can't be doing 60 or 80K on the shoulder to pass someone. That just makes you a bad person. What do we got here? How do you handle sovereign citizen people on stops? For people who don't know what a sovereign citizen is, it's someone who says, "I don't accept your authority." I think that's a Simpsons. No, that's a South Park reference. The fact is they don't acknowledge that they are members of Canada. They're not Canadian. They don't acknowledge their name. They say it's a corporation. They have a whole song and dance and a binder of stuff. If you want some entertainment, watch some videos online. There's a whole lot to watch. In other words, they usually get arrested. That's usually what happens. They think they're right. Someone gave them some really bad information, and they think that the laws don't apply, and they don't acknowledge them. They don't have licenses. They don't have insurance, and they get charged for all those things. And then they go to court, and they give the courts a hard time. So very often they get arrested. That's how they get handled. And it's not that we want to arrest people. It's just people who break the law, and they do so in such a way that arrest is the solution. Arrest is what happens. How does following the flow work? 100 kilometers an hour is the speed, but everyone's doing 120. Well, everyone who's doing 120 is breaking the law, making our roads unsafe, and you should not be doing 120. No one should. There is no law for flow of traffic, by the way. So will you get pulled over if you're doing 120? You might. It might be someone doing 125 when someone's doing 120. The fact is we can't pull everybody over. We'd like to. I'd like to. I should specify that I'd like to, because you shouldn't be speeding. And if everyone just acknowledged that they shouldn't be speeding and didn't speed, then it would be the only person who started that whole mob mentality of I'm going to go faster, I don't care, and then everybody else just followed suit. It's mob thinking, not good. It's not. Just drive the speed limit. Stay to the right, drive the speed limit, and you won't have problems. Don't be in. Now, if everyone's doing 120 and you go to the passing lane, which isn't the thing, but we call it the passing lane, even though it's not a passing lane in law. Don't be the guy that hangs out there, because people who are choosing to make the roads unsafer are now going to unsafely pass you on the right, and that just adds to the mess. So if you do the right thing, stay to the right, and drive the speed limit. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Do I get my fingerprints deleted from a database, or how do I get it? If you are someone who is eligible, and I don't know what the eligibility is, you would have to contact, I think it's the RCMP, but you could certainly get information about that through our website and or the RCMP website. I would talk to our records people. They'd probably be able to direct you. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know it's being done. I just don't know the details. Information services. What did I just say it was? Records. Contact records. You can get their information at tps.ca. You know what else you can get at tps.ca? You can find out how to become a member of the Toronto Police Service. www.toronto. I was going to give you the old. It's now tps.ca. tps.ca/careers. It used to be www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. And now it's all TPS. And then somebody said, why did you say CPS? Because TPS and CPS sound similar. I don't even know what I said. Okay. Yes, we are hiring. If you want to be a member of the most magical place on earth, then you should definitely look into applying. We are hiring all sorts of positions, including that of police officer. I think we have parking officer, court officer, or not. Now it's special constable. We have a lot of different positions that there are openings. We need good people. Good people should apply. Okay. Crystal says, is there a special sign that we can get for police to understand we have children in the vehicle with special needs? I'm not aware of a special sign. However, that could be one of the first things you say. You know, the officer comes up and they say, hello, can I have my license owner, your license ownership and insurance? And you say, absolutely. And by the way, I just want to let you know that my child or someone in the vehicle has special needs and they react a certain way. Just get it out there. Just get it out there, because when we know these things, we can modify the way we interact. And hopefully you have someone who is paying attention, because we do our best. But very often, you have to understand, when we pull over a vehicle, when we stop someone, there's more than just, I want to write you a ticket. There's, yes, what you did, but now we're evaluating everything that's going on, the lights, the traffic around us, the safety for everyone in that stop. What are you doing inside the car? Why is that? We're constantly managing a lot of information, but getting it out there right away, really good way to do. Before you even hand over your information, like as you're handing it, just want to let you know it's really important. And you can say, do you have any questions for me about what you can do to be better for them? Like I don't have a script, because I've actually never had anyone say it to me about it. This is me coming up with a solution for you on the fly. What do we have here? Thoughts on self-defense laws in Canada? Well, do you know what they are? You're allowed to use everything up until lethal force if you are defending your life, like to prevent yourself from being killed. But you can't just kill people. So it's a very fine line. Expect to be arrested if you use force. Definitely expect to be arrested if you use lethal force, at which point you have a long journey with lawyers. So self-defense laws in Canada, if you're talking about that, the fact that you can use lethal force at times, if you're justified, and that will be weighed after you've done it. The best thing you can do, in my opinion, is not get into that scenario. So if you can get away from a situation, get away from a situation. If you can de-escalate and run, de-escalate and run. This is not a stand your ground situation. We're just not that way. Florida is. We are not Florida. Is Toronto police still RCMP? I don't think I've ever been asked this, because Toronto police has never been RCMP. Ever. RCMP is a federal police service. They're in charge of, like policing in Canada, but the responsibilities are divided. And we since the inception of the Toronto Police, there's been no other police service. We were we had multiple police services, like we had the North York Police, and we had the Leaside Police. We had, there were different police services, then amalgamated into the Metropolitan Toronto Police, and then we became Mega City, and that became the Toronto Police Service. Mega City. When is the last time you heard about Mega City? It's a long time ago. I saw someone used bands on the seatbelt, including special needs in the event of a collision where the driver is incapacitated. I think I have seen those. I think I've seen them. I don't know if I've seen them, but you know what? Is it the Mandela effect? You said it, now I think I saw it. So this is where you get a sort of like a pad that Velcros onto the seatbelt cross strap, and it has markings. And I think I've seen something like that. All right, what we got here. Can you please look at my question on your last video? Chloe wants to know. I will have a look for your question on the last video. I can't look at it right now because I'm in a live, but I do make efforts to go through all of the videos and all of the questions. And if I miss you, I apologize. You can always DM me as well. If you're trying to get a question answered, it takes forever because I get thousands and thousands of messages. But I do appreciate and I try to respond to all comments and messages. It's not easy. I do my best. So if you don't get an answer, it's not me ignoring you. I missed it, and feel free to ask the same thing, again. Lives are a good way to do it. Hey, volley is a good way to do it. You know how you can get a hold of me? Go to www.trafficcop.ca. That is a website that takes you, or that web address, that URL, will actually take you to my link tree. That link tree takes you to all of our social media, both the voiceover cop stuff, my LinkedIn, as well as all the Toronto Police proper stuff. You can even go and find great useful links like, how to check if a vehicle is stolen before buying it. Check the RCMP database. How to check if someone's license is valid before you loan them the car. Because guess what? You're responsible. If you loan someone your car and they're not licensed, you can be charged under the HTA. Did you know that? If you watch the show, you do. So if you're watching and you don't follow us, please follow us. Whatever platform you're on, follow us. Because we talk about stuff like this all the time, and we're available as a resource for you. Hey, share this with other people. Let other people that you think might find some value, and maybe they need to improve their driving. Maybe you just want to mess with them. Maybe you just want them to be safe. Whatever the case is, share this with everyone that you think might benefit from content that we share. We do it all the time. It's what we do. We're the Toronto Police Service Traffic Safety Programs Unit, which handles media relations, social media, and traffic safety education. All right. That was a big rabbit hole. Okay. Do I need insurance if the car is already insured? The car in Ontario is what gets insured. You may be named on a policy as a regular driver, but it's the vehicle that is insured. So if you live with the vehicle owner, you don't need if you don't live with the vehicle owner, you're borrowing a friend's car one time, never going to happen again, you don't need to be insured. Insurance companies, however, want you to be listed as an occasional driver if you live with the owner. So if you're borrowing mom and dad's car, you live with them, they may say that, no, you must be listed. And if you aren't listed, they may choose to deny your claim. Someone says, have you ever caught someone with a white plate on? I don't know what that is. Fake plates? We've had fake plates before. Lots of fake plates. People think that an artist rendition of a plate is a plate. I got news for you, it's not. What charge for having studs south of Parry Sound? What's the charge? It's a charge. I don't know what the charge is because I've never laid it. I don't think I've ever come across a vehicle with studs on a road here. Let's have a look. Let's have a look because tires, I got a notification of an email. Okay. Improper tire damage to highway could be a thing. Improperly installed tires, no. Looking. I don't see it offhand just by searching tire. Maybe I search stud because that drive with studded tire. Look at that. On a personal vehicle, it's going to be $110. On a commercial vehicle, it's $240. And what is the description? Follow the link to the official website to retrieve all elements of this offense and exemptions. So basically, if you are from Parry Sound and you are visiting Southern Ontario, it's actually not against the law to visit and drive through. You have a period of time that you can actually be here. So if you are someone who is a lawful resident of the area where you're permitted, you can actually enter Southern Ontario. And that's probably why they have so many exemptions listed that they say, go to the original website. Don't look here. That's funny. Thank you for asking that question. I don't think we've ever had that question. Are laser radars illegal in Ontario? Do you mean laser speed measurement warning devices, like something that would notify you if you are? Which microphone are you using? That one's not plugged in. It's got no wire. This one. So, yeah, use the one with the wire. Oh, I'll turn it down until. We've moved some stuff around here. Is it okay? Okay, we're good. Okay, we got you. Microphone is hot.
Good morning.
Good morning, Sergeant Kulik. How you doing?
I'm good. How's everybody out there?
They're good. I'm speaking on their behalf. I'm just taking liberties and assuming that y'all good. The question was, are laser radars illegal in Ontario? So radar detectors or laser detectors or speed measurement warning devices or jammers, all illegal in Ontario. Can't use them. People think they can. People want them. I've got some very, very strong feelings about them. I have lots of strong feelings about many things. But the goal of those is to allow you to speed and not get caught because they warn you when we're around and then you slow down temporarily. So they're not good to have. They're illegal to purchase, to sell, to transport, and what else? I think that covers it all. Sell, buy, and use.
We have some powers for search and seizure.
Superpowers. We can if we believe, just the belief that you have it in there, we can search the vehicle and all occupants inside the vehicle. We can even disassemble the vehicle. I mean, I don't think taking the tires off is reasonable, but we can take some tools out and dig into the car and we take it apart. We don't necessarily know how to put it back together. So that's on you. Most people, when we pull them over and we have suspicion and then the tools come out, they just give us the thing. We can seize that item. You don't get it back, and you do have to deal with the ticket, which is $170 and 2 demerit points. Akela says, hi, Sarge.
Hey, how are you?
He's good. He hasn't responded yet, but, taking liberties here. What to do if a driver throws garbage out the car? It's littering. we charge them with littering. And I have done that. I had someone who went through a stop sign using their cell phone and threw a cigarette out the window. I don't think they were wearing their seatbelt. They got all the tickets. That's like, some people.
It's just kind of gross and dirty. Like, would you throw your garbage in your own house on the floor? You wouldn't, right?
Maybe they
Would
did.
you go to somebody's backyard barbecue and throw your garbage on their lawn? You probably wouldn't. So why do it when you're driving out the window, right? There are garbage cans everywhere for you to use, and use them, right?
Yeah. Get a little bag. So many nice ways to control garbage inside your car. I have to talk to my daughter about that. I have to get her a bag for Kleenex. She has a stuffy nose. She needs a specific place. Otherwise, she just goes, "Here, Dad." I'm like, why are you giving me your Kleenex?
Oh, that's disgusting.
And I wonder why I'm congested. Akela says, "Not bad yourself." See, I was right. Okay. Are impaired driving offenses on the rise? On the rise from where? We had last weekend or the weekend before, we had a spike. It was like 25 arrests and 9 warnings. I'd have to look up what last week was. But it's certainly, there's certainly people who are still choosing to drive under the influence of drugs and alcohol. It's not cool. It's never been cool. And why it's still being done, I just don't understand.
Anything over 0, people driving impaired is too many. So just make the right decision. And, it's the festive season, the holiday season. There's lots of parties going on. Choose your ride home wisely, right? Do you want to ride home in the back of a police car? No. Do you want to ride home or ride to the hospital in an ambulance? No. Do you want to go to the morgue? No. So, choose your ride, right? Call a friend, pre-plan, do what you have to do to get that done. So we're out there all year round, but you'll hear a lot more of it on the radio and TV and stuff like that for the ride season. We just want to make sure everybody gets home to their loved ones. So
That's the goal. It's such a simple goal, but it is the goal. We want everyone to be safe. And that means, making sure you're doing the right thing, not just for you, but so you don't kill somebody else on the road. Last weekend, this is posted December 5th, Scott Matthews says that we arrested 16 people for impaired operations offenses, including a driver that backed into a police car trying to flee from a different crash. That also includes a driver that almost hit an ambulance and an unlicensed driver that stole his girlfriend's car. Good decisions being made by people all over the place.
incredible.
My wife defends my daughter's honor by saying, she's little. Take it and go. The Kleenex.
Yeah. No.
Let's keep Toronto clean. Don't litter. That's a message from my wife, the Leo wife. But you know what? We talk about the holiday season and ride season. I have to let you know that ride season is every season. We don't stop enforcing impaired driving. It's one of the priorities of the Big Four. It's something that the VZET team always does. And we just happen to have a lot of attention because we know it's festive season. More people socializing, more opportunities where people are offering alcohol on a regular basis. So, yeah, we talk about it more, but we're always looking for it, and we always say the same thing. Don't drive under the influence of drugs or alcohol. It's just the best way to go. And we have a city that has so much infrastructure and the best transit system. Like, there's no reason. There's no reason to do it. Speaking of Vision Zero enforcement team, I neglected to mention half an hour ago where the Vision Zero team is. They are today in 32 Division and 41 Division. It is the 7th, is it not? It is. 32 Division and 41 Division, which may mean very little to most people, but those are the communities, the neighborhoods of Downsview, Willowdale, Newtonbrook, Bathurst Manor, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside. And if you live there and you didn't hear me talk about your neighborhood, they're not avoiding you. It's just we're talking about the ones that most commonly get referenced. Hey, if you want your neighborhood to get put into one of our hashtags, tweet to us. Respond to Twitter. Traffic Services is our Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Those messages go out every morning to let you know where our officers are focusing their efforts. And you message me. Somebody said, you don't ever talk about my community. Why are you ignoring us? I'm like, we're not ignoring you. We just didn't know that you had a hashtag. Give us a hashtag. We'll use it. Okay. Chase says, what do you think is a good way to get people with lots of money and expensive cars to slow down? I feel like tickets and fines don't have the same effect. Many people believe that. And some countries, we heard about is it Norway, that says, I'm thinking about cruise lines. I got cruise lines in my head. They do fines, I believe, based on your income. So someone got a 20 over ticket, it cost him $200,000 because he was the CEO of a major company and his speeding ticket meant something to him. Do you know which country, Sergeant Campbell just walked in, do you know which country does tickets based on income?
He just heard the answer.
Find them out?
No, I don't know. If you want to jump on a mic, this mic, I unplugged it to change something. That's the wire. It's got to go into that third microphone. And Yes. Headphones. I got to untangle, but the third microphone's there. Well, if you plug it in, we'll get you on there. Sergeant Campbell is going to join us. He's feeling like I'm feeling. We're a little under the weather today. Well, at least 2 out of 3 of us are under the weather. Some people are sparkly. they're just happy.
Well, I had my turn under the weather last month, so
Yeah,
we're even.
And I'm definitely not the sparkly one.
You're not the sparkly one today. Well, I have sparkles. I'm shiny. It's different. Are we all plugged in?
I think we're here.
We got you.
All
We got
right.
you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
It is a European country that I don't know which one it is.
I think it's Norway for some reason, but I could be making it up. Maybe it's some other way.
And I believe it is a fantastic way to slow people down. You know what? We have fines over here. Some of them are very little and means nothing to people.
Well, yeah, and we actually have the lowest fines in the country. We need to raise everything. And not everybody wants to hear that, but I think that is the way to go. I think it's the way to go. We need to dissuade people from doing bad things. And bad things include driving properly. It's not just about crime. Okay, question from Ryan Pin sent a voice message. Oh.
When the temperature drops below 7 degrees, we should be switching to our winter tires. Also, every ride should include clearing your vehicle completely of snow, and make sure that you allow enough time for you to reduce your speed, because driving in the winter is going to take a little bit longer. Stay safe.
Oh, I thought there was going to be more. There was that pregnant pause. Oh, wait, what's he going to say next?
You know what, Ryan? I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Everything you said.
100%. The tires aren't enforceable because they're not required, but they're a really good idea. And if you have the means to do it, do it. Many people say, well, they're expensive. Well, you know what happens? If you buy snow tires, your all seasons last twice as long because you're only using them half a year. So I've had snow tires and the same snow tires for quite some time. I use them appropriately.
Now, that being said, Sean, tires do deteriorate over time.
100%.
If everybody knows, there is a date code that's on the side of your tire. It's usually the week it was manufactured and then the year. And it's in the little box right beside the DOT part of your tire. Have a look at that. Anything over than 5 years old, especially for a winter tire that is supposed to have a softer compound, you will not get any benefit out of it if it starts to harden up.
Well, I was going to say, they do get harder, which means the softness that is required for winter driving in ice and that grip in the lower temperatures is useless.
Right.
Good to know. We have a question of, can you cut through a parking lot to avoid a red light? We've talked about this before. And it's funny because there's no red light skid or go through private property ticket. However, there's some obligations that you must meet. You must do it all in safety. You have to signal. You have to stop when you're re-entering the road before crossing a sidewalk because those are obligations you have. So if you just drive quickly through that private, let's say gas station that's very often a corner, you could be charged under the HDA for re-entering the road, failing to yield from private drive, and there's a number of options. So whatever you do, you must do in safety.
And you know what? Additionally, in the city of Toronto, we have a bylaw. You have to stop before you go across the sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that's going to slow you down. Is it safer? No. Does it cost you a little bit more time just to wait in traffic and cross at the intersection? Yeah.
And where have you got to go that you're going to take 30 seconds off your, why? If you leave and give yourself the appropriate amount of time, which is what we suggest you do, because that's just a safe way to go. If you reduce your stress, if you allow yourself the time to get somewhere, you don't amp yourself up. You slow down, enjoy the ride. You maybe listen to the radio, a podcast, learn something. Enjoy the was it stop and smell the roses? Maybe not when driving. You're going to have a safer outcome. It's the rush. It's that increasing your speed. It's adding stress. That's when collisions and bad choices happen.
And how many times do you take a shortcut because you're stuck in traffic or whatever, and then you end up being at the next red light or the one after that or a slowdown on the highway and you see all the same cars that you saw if you'd have just stayed where you were, right?
It's actually hilarious. I had a guy passed me unsafely, weaving through traffic. He wove through traffic, and then at the next lights, he was right in front of me. didn't get anything. Maybe he felt like an IndyCar racer for a second, but that thrill was not worth the risk that he put everyone in. Yeah. Why not catch impaired drivers at bars? There are so many. Like, well, they have to be like at their car, either identifiably impaired approaching their car with the intent to get in it. At least that used to be the deal. If you're stumbling down and you're walking towards a car, you could preemptively arrest them. And certainly with the intent to drive is obviously they're driving. Driving is obviously with the intent to drive. But there's many bars. There's fewer roads. They all cycle into one place. And we couldn't put a police officer at every bar and stop everybody. Although it would be very effective.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what, though? People should know better, especially if you're out of the bar. Plan ahead. Don't drive your car there.
And there also is a responsibility, too, on the bar for over-service.
Yes.
Right? They have an obligation to ensure that they don't keep serving somebody who's obviously impaired. So.
Yeah, but to reach 0.50 or 05 is where you get your driver's license suspended for a period of time, and 0.08 when you get your driver's license and charged. Criminally, it doesn't take very much to get there.
No.
It really doesn't. So over-service is part and partial, but
it's a small factor.
Yeah.
And
very small part of the
people
but
drink.
just be smart, right?
There's that, but some people drink and haven't even metabolized the alcohol yet, and they're still on the rise. You know, they fail at the side of the road. They fail worse when they get to the station because they're on the way up. So it's really something that people don't factor. It's how long it takes for you to. It's in your belly, but it's not actually in your bloodstream yet. The best thing is just don't do it, because people say, well, one drink an hour or whatever, I'm safe. You're not necessarily safe. And there are people with less alcohol than you think that are still impaired, even though they're not even over the legal limit, because they just don't react well to alcohol. Gatorade wants to know, how do I apply to be an officer? Well, and they have a follow-up question of, can I apply when I'm 18? Excuse me. Oh, we're all coughing.
Oh my
together.
goodness.
We're in sync. We're in sync. We're not a boy band though.
No.
Okay. Can I apply to? So the deal is that we are hiring. To get the information on how to apply, go to www.tps.ca/careers, and there are quite a number of positions that we're hiring for. You can apply when you're 18, although historically we've been seeing people who are closer to 30 years old getting hired. That number is going down. Our chief was saying that we're hiring younger and younger people now, just because it's a trend. And if you meet the qualifications, by all means, you should apply.
Yeah, and there's not just officer positions. We have civilian positions. We have special constable, all kinds of different opportunities depending on where your interest lies. And
clerks,
come on, check
analysts,
it. Yeah.
IT professionals,
yes,
lawyers,
parking enforcement,
TikTok people.
Maybe one day. Steph wants to know a collision. I'm editing on the fly. She said accident. I'm saying collision, exiting highway ramp. Who do you report it to? Is it the highway or the local police?
Well, actually,
depends if you're
it
on
depends.
the ramp or.
That's our favorite word.
Yes. Now, if you've broken the seal, it's now we'll use depends in every sentence.
The highway traffic act says you must report it to a police officer. If they won't take your report because it's a road of different jurisdiction, go to that.
You're really far from the mic, so
I know. I'm trying not to cough on it or sniffle in it. Or, it doesn't really matter. You report to who has jurisdiction of the roadway. If it's on an off-ramp on a 400 series highway in Ontario, then it is the OPP. It could be the OPP on the side roads as well.
And the deal is that if it's a serious collision and 911 is where you're calling, they're going to direct you to the most appropriate place once you told them where it's occurred. So worry less about who to call. Make the call to make sure that you're getting help if that's what's required. If it's really minor, I think that's when we can spend time to figure out who the most appropriate place is. But obviously, if something's serious happening, 911 is the way to go. We got Brian who asked a question, is it illegal to cut in front of someone driving faster than you? Is it illegal to merge to the leftmost lane on the highway in front of someone who is speeding? Yeah, that sounds like bad ideas. And cutting someone off, making an unsafe move or doing something intentional to express your frustration could even be criminal. Dangerous driving. Maybe those were things said in jest, but I don't know. Chase has sent an audio message. Let's see.
I saw a construction worker standing on the side of a truck, like on the side rail, while it was driving. They were going slow, but they were standing there so they could pick up pylons and throw them in the bed. Are you allowed to do this?
Very interesting question, similar to that of a garbage truck. Well, actually, we had the conversation with garbage trucks, so I went to my commercial motor vehicle people to find out where in there might be an exception, because they're not seated. They're not on a skateboard attached. So we're trying to figure out exactly what area of law or exemption. And I think they're actively working in that role in a position designed for them to do that, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe there's less and less people on the back of garbage trucks anymore. Sorry.
Momentary pause. I'm going to play music while you dive. No.
So for the people picking up the pylons, obviously there was a road closure there. So can they be riding on the back of the truck on a closed road? As long as there's jurisdiction to close the road, then yes, they can.
So not a regularly open road. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. How long does a DUI stay on your record? Well, DUI, driving under the influence, is a criminal charge. Your criminal record doesn't expire unless you somehow qualify for a, what is it called?
A pardon.
A pardon, and that's a process. So if you were to be convicted and you don't get a pardon, which is a process that you must apply for, then it's there forever.
And you have to remember, too, with a charge like that, or any criminal charge for that matter, if you like to travel or cross the border into the U.S., certain offenses, and potentially that one, could restrict your entry from crossing.
They can deny you.
So they can deny you.
A gentleman, I saw this on a TikTok, a gentleman had minor amounts of marijuana, and federally marijuana is not legal in the United States. He was banned for life from entering the United States for possession because he was checked. And they can also deny you, same deal, for having a criminal record. They say you're unsuitable to enter the country. We can do the same thing for people entering Canada.
Yep.
And I don't think there's any opportunity to
appeal that or anything.
Appeal. No. Thank you. That's the word I wanted.
That's your choice.
Yes. Can you do a U-turn on a highway? That's very bad idea.
Well,
what do you mean
are you
by
asking as a highway? The 400 series highway?
True. I mean,
or Highway 7? Or
I immediately assume a controlled access highway, which is an expressway or parkway. You're not allowed to go onto the center grassy knolls and things like that. That's a charge. I think that's a charge anywhere. But if you're talking about a regular street, which is technically a highway, or actually not just technically, it is a highway in the province of Ontario. You can, if it's not signed otherwise, if it's not in an area that's specifically prohibited, like as you're approaching a bridge or
bridge, viaduct, tunnel,
railway crossing,
curve,
crest of grade, ton of them. Oh, I'm going to sneeze now. Well, we're the sickies on this show today. What is this? Can commercial vehicles park other side to deliver?
No.
The only people who can park on opposite side of the road are people with accessible permits. Did you know that? I didn't know.
No,
that.
I didn't. There's actually an offense in the city of Toronto, left wheels to curb. And that same offense, I do believe, carries on, I don't know if it's other jurisdictions or in the ACA as well.
But there is an exemption for accessible permits because there are people who cannot get out on the other side of the car. They can't unload or load wheelchairs. So there's an exemption. And I learned that from our parking guru, TPS_Bikehart, who's here but not here. I saw her. She walked by.
That makes sense, though.
Oh, she's there. She is there. You're hiding behind the sergeant's head. Yeah. Is that correct? Are we? Did I share that information correctly and accurately? Well, thank you very much. The question was, could you park a commercial vehicle left wheels to curb for deliveries? And then the follow-up discussion became accessible permits are the only exemption that because you
commercial vehicles, no accessible permits.
We're on the money.
Yes.
Okay, check marks all around.
You don't even need me.
No, but we referenced you, and then again, I couldn't see someone pass.
And for all your parking questions,
yes,
follow Aaron Urquhart.
Absolutely, TPS_Bikehart, as well as parking TPS. It blows me away. I don't understand why it's parking TPS instead of TPS parking. I always get it wrong and have to correct myself. Who made up that name?
Not me.
Not you. Okay. Does OPP trump local PD on scene?
No.
It depends.
It depends. Well, that's the second
use
of the word.
You know what? We are all police officers in the province of Ontario, everywhere. We all get paid to protect a certain area or to work in a certain area. That's our job to do it there. But it does not stop me as a Toronto police officer going somewhere in the province of Ontario and being a police officer and arresting somebody.
Right.
We don't have fights over.
If someone wants to do the work, we usually let them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We have more fights trying to give it away because we have 15 calls in pending than.
That's funny. Okay, let's see what this is. It is more that it's even with internally. Is it traffic? Is it the division? Yeah. Can we eat while driving? Yes, as long as it doesn't negatively impact your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle. Yes, but it's different.
Chicken wings is probably not.
If you can do it with one hand.
So
then you can't touch anything with your fingers. You can't, it's not a good idea. And I am a fan of chicken wings. I've never tried to eat them while driving.
Yeah, no, not a good idea.
And it's messy. I'd have to have a spare shirt. It's not just don't go there.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, I'm always hungry. How long does a seatbelt ticket last on your record? Well, there's two parts to that. A conviction for a seatbelt will also include points. Demerit points last for 2 years from the date of the offense, and the points stay on your record for 3 years from the date of conviction. I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze.
Look at the light. Look at the light.
Yeah, what's the story about that? Makes you sneeze or doesn't?
Yeah, if you look at the sun when you're just about to sneeze, it'll make it happen right away.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You might be Russian because that's I hear that's a Russian thing.
Oh.
or maybe you're not Russian and you're taking your time. Which makes me
Good
want to read.
That's like a bad dad joke.
Good job.
Wow.
Let me open up the deck here. I have a deck of dad jokes.
I had a good one this morning.
Have you heard the rumor going around about butter? Never mind. I shouldn't spread it.
Wah, wah, wah.
All right, we'll come back. When you get yours, we'll go there. I'm sorry to sniffle. This is. Luckily, we've got 9 minutes left, and my sniffles will have to hold until then. Do my best. We talked about the seatbelts. That was asked twice, 3 times. Let's leave that one. Well, if someone is serious, does your what? Luca, if something is serious, does your police department? I don't know what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean. I want to know what you mean, but I don't know. Okay.
You got mail.
I got mail. We talked to Alexandra. Is it Alexandra who asked? Yeah, Alexandra wanted to know about the eating. We covered that. Who do you support now that Canada isn't in the World Cup? Why are the hockey finals done?
Go away.
Come on.
I'm
How do you
anti.
call yourself Canadian?
I'm anti-sports. I don't follow sports, so I have no idea. I knew that they were out. I heard it on the radio. It was forced upon me.
I'm very excited about the Morocco win yesterday. I always think it's so nice to see an underdog sort of pull up, no matter what sport it is. It's kind of like holding out faith for our Leafs, right? Like we keep, they're the underdog. We want them to win, even if you don't like them. But yeah, that was quite the upset yesterday. Morocco beating Spain in the penalty shootouts. So for me, I'd like to see them go through if they can. England, I guess, would be my next choice. Maybe France after that. I don't know.
I didn't know any of those people played soccer.
There's been some great games that have been going on for those that have been watching it. It's pretty exciting. Even if you don't like soccer, it's exciting. So.
Someone says, how does it feel to be a member of a legal gang? I think they're alleging that the police are a gang. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
We are a group. We are a. I don't know. Are we a gang?
I don't know. I'd go that far, but we're
It's
a team.
Listen,
and we work together to achieve a common goal.
It's a better word. Gang has negative connotations. Maybe they meant
Yeah.
team, and they just they didn't want to. It was easier to type gang. Christopher says no fajitas while driving. Yeah, that would be bad. Or tacos. Tacos, fajita, anything that's sauce and drippy is really a bad idea. Robert wants to know if we can have a selfie together. If you make it to a location where I am at, when I am at there, in public, doing the public thing, selfies are a thing. I do selfies. Sarge, can we get on camera? Tracy wants to know.
Which one?
There's 2 sergeants here, but they're very comfortably sitting in chairs. Now, we are trying to work out a on-camera opportunity with multiple cameras for YouTube. That's coming. But
I did jump in yesterday. I was on camera.
Yeah,
first.
you stood behind. It's true.
There wasn't room for me yesterday.
We need wider angle lenses, is what you're saying.
John, did you know a couple of days ago we were actually chasing after somebody and they got away.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm waiting.
This it was I don't know what she was wanted for. She was a petite psychic, and she was running away. So in the end, she was a small medium at large.
I was waiting.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know.
there's Sergeant Campbell's. That, can you even call that a dad joke or just a cheesy joke?
I laughed.
It's good. I'll give you that.
What? Have any of you in that room ever pranked another police officer a good prank?
Yes, but none we can talk about.
There are rules here. I'm sorry. These are things that can never be shared until we retire.
You know what? We're all people here. We all have fun. We have a job to do. We have to be professional at doing it. But we can have fun while we're doing it as well.
Absolutely.
I think it's safe to say that since I'm no longer a court officer, I can share the bunny suit. No, the bunny suit. There was once there was a rookie, possibly once upon a time, who was told that they had to wear a bunny suit going into court. This is the all white outfit for contaminants and things like that. They were told that there was something in the courtroom that was dangerous, so they made them get into the bunny suit, and they went up to court, and everyone looked at them like they were crazy. That might have happened before.
Maybe. Allegedly.
It's alleged.
And two, you have to remember with our job, when you're on the road, a lot of times you will have either a permanent partner or regular people on your platoon you work with. So you're spending 10, 12, 14 hours a day in the car, multiple days a week with that person. So you develop, a friendship, and it's healthy to joke back and forth and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes we do.
But doing things that really annoy them, probably bad for the long-term relationship. Question, are there any HTA laws about dogs or even cats on people's lap while driving? I see so many people lately with that happening. Yes, careless driving would be a good one. Driving while crowded would be a good one. You're not allowed to do that. You got to be focused on driving, and having an animal in your lap is not a way to do that. It's not safe.
It's unsafe for you, for one, but also if you get into a collision and that airbag comes out, it's probably going to kill your little dog there and subsequently injure you with the after effects.
Yeah, they have bones and sharp things.
Cuddle your dog at home, right?
Yes.
But if you need to bring your dog in the car, put it in the back seat.
Tethered or crated in the back seat, safest place for them. I know they may not be happy, but it's called training. We get our kids comfortable with the back seat. We can get our dogs or cats. Your kids don't sit in your lap either. We love them.
Right.
Some of them. I love mine. If I throw a smoke out the window, is that littering? Yes, it is. You cannot dispose of anything out the window. And lit cigarettes are another situation.
So both Sean and I are motorcycle riders. Can you imagine what it feels like to have first of all, a piece of garbage coming out of the window and hitting you? But let's light that piece of garbage on fire and throw it out your window so that it comes back at the motorcycle.
Yeah, I can tell you, it's not fun.
No, it is one thing that you will always get a ticket from me, and you will always walk back. I'll shut the road down. You can pick up your garbage.
I can tell you that I've seen mattresses on fire because, mattresses being transported, loads being transported, someone throws a smoke out the window. In some places where forest fires and there's dry, like in LA, that's a major offense, I believe, because you could start a forest fire or a wildfire with a cigarette being tossed out the window. Very dry conditions. Yeah, there's all sorts of rules about it there. So just don't litter and don't throw smokes out the window. Ashtrays were designed for the people. 3 people in Ontario still smoke apparently.
3 people?
I don't know. You can't buy a car with an ashtray anymore. They don't come with ashtrays. It's wild.
You know what? Ex-smoker, I'm the worst too. I hate smokers.
As an ex-smoker, I can concur. When will we get a TPS podcast? Guess what, Douglas Allen? There is one. It's called TPS Traffic Jam. You can get it anywhere where traffic, wherever you get your traffic. It's actually wherever you get your podcast. It's on Spotify. We host it on Anchor because it's free, but you can join it. TPS. What did I say? Traffic Jam.
Traffic Jam.
TPS Traffic Jam. Check it out. We've got 15 episodes. So basically, those are episodes, those podcasts with guests. We talk about traffic stuff. We jam about traffic. We've got some good ones there. Check it out. It's the safe way to enjoy what we do, what we produce here online. I don't know. A lot of people said, "How do I listen to your live stream when driving?" And you can't do it really legally. I suppose you could tune into one of the apps and then put it in your glove box, but you can't touch your phone. You can't look at your phone. So I don't know if you'd want to listen to us for this version, but the podcast is pretty cool. I like it. We got a bunch of really exciting episodes coming your way. December 15th is going to be a really good one. Now, it will not be published on the 15th, but we're recording it on the 15th, and that is the team from the Automated Enforcement Group from Toronto, City of Toronto. So red light cameras and speed cameras. We're going to talk about stuff and things with them, and get you a perspective that you may never have had before. I'm excited about it. Learn more about that stuff. We'll let you know when that publishes. It's 11 o'clock, which means we got to wrap it up. But I want to see if there's anything that's just amazing. Someone wants to know if I've ever been on a date with Drake. No.
Wow.
I don't know. People talk about Drake all the time. I don't know what the obsession with Drake is. Is it because he has a big house or fancy cars or drive? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the attraction is.
I'm not quite into that type of music, but lots of people
What
are,
is
I
that?
guess.
But he's actually very talented.
He is. He's very talented.
I
Local
listen to
homegrown
podcasts.
boy.
Yeah. My cousin, I say cousin, very close friend of the family, was on the show with him. So I don't know if she's ever dated him. Don't know. Are we supposed to drive with lights on all the time? It's a good idea. You don't have to.
And I think all vehicles that are manufactured now for Canada have daytime running lights.
Daytime running lights, yes, but full headlight systems. I have a big problem, big pet peeve. We're going to do a pet peeve show, and I've got a co-host for Pet Peeve Show. We're going to bring in Brian Max, who's a race car driver and radio host, and we're going to talk about pet peeves because between us we have a lot of them. And the people who drive with their daytime running lights only at night, I call them ghost cars.
Right.
No taillights unless they're applying the brakes. And there's probably 10 to 15 of those on the road every morning on my drive to work alone. So, yeah, I don't have a problem if someone turns them on all the time because it's better than having them turned off all the time.
Yeah.
Big pet peeve. All right. Looking. Douglas Allen says, that's great. I'll be tuning in. Yes, another follower to the podcast. Share it with your friends. That's awesome. I guess I should put a post up on social media saying, hey, by the way, we have a thing. I do announce each individual podcast episode, but I rarely remind people that, hey, so I need to do that more. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention so I can bring it to your attention.
I'm going to jump out here and say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye.
Thanks for
Thanks for
tuning
dropping
in, all of our people. And we'll see you next time.
And let me ask, this is going to be the last question just because I think it's a great question. Why is it hard for people not to park on a bike lane? Because people don't pay attention and people are selfish. And many people just do what they want to do. And then it's up for people like me to write them tickets and people like Aaron to give them tickets to remind them that they need to be good humans. And that's what it's about. Doing the right thing, keeping people safe. This is a shared space. It's a community space. Now, it's not shared with cars when we talk about the bike lanes, but it is the roads in general. We got to keep people safe. We want people to go home, not just on the holidays, but every day to their families, to the people that care about them, to the people that they care about. We need to be doing the right thing all the time. That includes not driving with drugs or alcohol in their system, not driving over the speed limit, being cautious. It's a good thing. And, we're entering, or we've entered, I guess we're in the holiday season. It's my favorite time of year, as it is for so many other people. And it's my favorite time of year because people make an effort to be nice to one another. I think that's great. I'd like to see it all the time. I don't want to ruin Christmas and make it Christmas all the time. I want to make that concept of being good to one another an all the time thing. So thank you, everyone, for spending time with us. We'll be back on Friday for Friday. No show tomorrow, so we will not see you then, but we will see you soon. See you on Friday morning. Have a great day. I'm going to put a song on. It's the same song as every day. It's don't have a good day, have a great day.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
See you Friday.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.